Welcome to the Saturday Morning Breakfast Mix, where we highlight the highs and lows of a particular Saturday morning cartoon and maybe some weekday ones that I, as well as many of us, grew up with, and to show why these awesome Saturday morning cartoons made weekends and weekdays just the best, and why seeing them now instantly brings back glorious memories of those carefree childhood days. Imagine being stranded in a world not of your own, where a constant struggle for power rages on and you could be the one that can turn the tide in favor of those that fight for good. A stranger from another world that, because of what is happening around him, becomes a champion for good. This is his story.
John BlackStar, astronaut. Is swept through a black hole into an ancient alien universe. Trapped on the planet Sagar, BlackStar is rescued by the tiny Trobbit people. In turn, he joins their fight for freedom against the cruel overlord. Who rules by the might of the Power Star. The Power Star is split into the Power Sword and the Star Sword. And so, with Star Sword in hand, BlackStar, together with his allies, sets out to save the planet Sagar. This is his destiny. I am John BlackStar.
BlackStar is an animated fantasy adventure series produced by Lou Schmeimer, Hal Sutherland, and Norm Prescott for Filmation that ran from September 12th till December 5th of 1981. The series was Filmation's second fantasy epic, which was a result of the CBS network requesting a cartoon that would rival ABC's successful Thunder the Barbarian cartoon produced by Ruby Spears. The story focuses on John BlackStar, an astronaut from the future version of Earth who had been swept through a black hole and stranded on the planet Sagar, where magic, sword, and sorcery still rule. Rescued by the Trobbits, peace-loving elf-like people, BlackStar decides to join the resistance who are fighting against the evil overlord, who rules the planet with his magic sword, the Power Star. Together with his allies, the Trobbits, Clone, a shape-shifting elfin companion, the Dragon Warlock, and Mara the Enchantress, BlackStar battles the merciless oppressor, the cruel overlord, who plots to rule all of planet Sagar and wields one half of the Power Star called the Power Sword, and constantly seeks the other half wielded by BlackStar, because when both halves of the sword unite, they form the mighty Power Star, which enables its wielder tremendous magical powers. Along with his Dragon Warlock, BlackStar and the Resistance will stop at nothing to put an end to the Overlord's tyranny on Sagar and bring about peace to his new home. Dragons, magical swords, wizards, elves, BlackStar has almost every fantasy element possible. Focusing more on fantasy elements and less science fiction is what made BlackStar stand out from its ABC counterpart, Thunder the Barbarian, and took many influences from various existing fantasy classics. The John Carter of Mars novels by Edgar Rice Burroughs are a strong influence behind the cartoon, as well as the James Clavell novel Shogun. For example, in the cartoon, John BlackStar is an astronaut marooned on the alien planet Sagar. In the Shogun novel, pilot Major John Blackthorne is an English navigator who is marooned in feudal Japan, and similarly in John Carter, a Confederate veteran of the American Civil War, who is mysteriously transported to Mars, called Barsoom, by its inhabitants while attempting to evade
Apache Native Americans in a secret cave.
Interestingly enough, John's race is not specified in the series. BlackStar was originally envisioned to be of African American ethnicity until CBS ordered that it was too controversial and that audiences were not quite ready for an African American character in their Saturday morning's children's television, resulting in John BlackStar's appearance changing to a deeply tanned Caucasian. Many fans of the series assume that BlackStar is Native American, but there's no mention of this at all in any of the 13 episodes of the show, and his appearance differs slightly in comparison to Filmation's later Native American hero, BraveStar, in 1987. Oh, did you know? The first script of the series included suggestions on how the voices of the main characters should sound. BlackStar was described as sounding like James Garner or Han Solo, Mara to be like Greta Garbo, and Overlord's voice to be like that of Darth Vader. Since we're on this, the Trobbits undoubtedly are inspired by the Hobbits from the Lord of the Rings series, and perhaps are even inspired by the Seven Dwarfs from Snow White. Although essential to the series, the Trobbits were not well liked. Many who watched the show just found them to be very irritating, sort of like the Ewoks in the Star Wars universe. People watching the show found the story to be very basic, with the Overlord trying to conquer Sagar and defeat BlackStar, only to lose in every single episode. Although there have been certain episodes featuring the Overlord actually managing to capture BlackStar's Star Sword and reuniting both halves of the sword to become more powerful, his celebration would not last too long, as BlackStar would defeat his nemesis and escape to fight another day. People at the time found the stories to be somewhat boring and considered the animation being very subpar and not as much fun as other Filmation cartoons, but it didn't bother me much. I found this show to be very enjoyable and quite charming in nature, filled with the heroic characters in a fantasy-driven world where the never-ending battle of good versus evil rages on to bring forth peace throughout the world of Sagar and maybe the entire universe. BlackStar is a heroic champion of good, a true and true hero for the people of the planet he now calls home, fighting with a rebellion against the Overlord and his allies such as the Sorceress Vizier, a horde of dinosaur-shaped stone robots, the Lava Locks, and a series of other villains such as Kadre, the Time Lord. But alas, BlackStar wasn't that big of a success. Although it created a world of sword and sorcery that people at the time, especially children, would have found intriguing and would have gravitated towards, it only lasted a mere 13 episodes. It was one of those shows that many have forgotten it had existed or just never bothered to care about it in the first place. But luckily, because of those that still remember and through the release of the entire series through DVD distribution, we can finally see that this show was a very important part in Filmation's cartoon legacy. Even though at the time the show's success was lackluster, it did not stop Filmation from taking what they learned from this show and applying it to some other future projects. An influential show that is to be considered to be the direct predecessor to something that many kids growing up were not prepared for. Its format and ideas became the main premise of what some consider one of the greatest cartoon shows for many of us growing up in the 80s. Something that had the power to not only make Filmation the animation giant, but something that has been loved even through these current times. If there was no BlackStar, we wouldn't have Eternia, and more importantly, we wouldn't have ever known who had the power. Because if it wasn't for John BlackStar and his amazing tales of heroism against the forces of evil, we wouldn't have him. So if you are curious to the true origins of one of the cartoon's greatest heroes, you must first give proper kudos to the show that influenced and started it all, BlackStar. And even if you don't care for it, it's okay, because like I've always said when it comes to cartoons we grew up with, that to truly appreciate something, you have to accept its strengths and its faults. No matter what they are, to truly appreciate how amazing it was and how amazing it continues to be. Thank you so much, and I'll see you all next time.